and Kurt for playing with. I'm playing our patrons. Go to patreon.com/wise_n_nerdy so you too can get blamed for distracting us to the point that we're 2 minutes late for our own show. So thank you, Devosite. That's your bonus for this month.
Are these actually new patrons?
They're free patrons. So I thought maybe if we talk about it, I mean, they're still patrons. They still get the blips. They still can see some stuff. I thought maybe if they actually listen and they hear their name, they'll become part of the parliament.
No, that's great. That's great. I just wanted to make sure they weren't AI driven.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they have faces, but who knows? I don't know if I don't know how that works on Patreon, to be honest. But that's neither here nor there. Let's do this one.
Get ready to laugh out loud with Wise and Nerdy, the show hosted by two hilarious dads who are bringing their unique blend of wit, wisdom, and nerdiness to the airwaves. From sharing hilarious anecdotes about their own experiences to giving advice on navigating the ups and downs of life, these two dads have got you covered. But that's not all. They're also obsessed with all things nerdy, from comic books and sci-fi movies to video and board games. So whether you're a fellow dad, a pop culture fanatic, or just in need of a good laugh, tune in to Wise and Nerdy and join in the fun.
What fun is that, you say?
All the
Joe,
fun.
What fun? There you go. Something, Joe. You got to do something. Oh, you got to contribute.
You spend time recording things all for naught.
I mean, if yeah. So, how you guys doing tonight? Some might take Joe's fingers away. Boys, we are less than 30 days away from Dragon Con, and unfortunately, we just got some sad news from Kurt. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
But so the sad news is Kurt's not going to be able to make it. I think he's going to talk about that a little later on this episode. However, in doing so, you actually got somewhat of an honor that most people have not received, which is what?
If you go to the Dragon Con website, I'm listed as a celebrity that's not going to make it.
Yeah. Right there was I can't say it right. Gia Freeman.
Aaron.
It's supposed to be. Isn't it supposed to be Argyle Freeman?
No, I don't think so. Yes, what's the actress? But it's not Argyle.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure. I can't even say it the way I thought it was, Kurt.
Charles mispronouncing things is totally on brand. It's okay.
Yeah, that's true.
110%.
I'm sorry. It's Freema Agaiman.
There you go.
Yeah. Who played Martha Jones in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And she was on most recently, I believe, the Good Doctor. No, not the Good Doctor. Transplant? Nope. New Amsterdam. That's what it was. Yeah.
There's only a million other medical dramas that you can go through.
And I watch almost all of them. that's the problem.
There you go.
But she was also on New Amsterdam. But then Jim Shooter is on the same list.
Who's that?
He basically a bigwig editor that's worked for pretty much every comic company. Mostly Marvel, most notably for Marvel. So, but yeah, can't go. Yeah, I can get into it now, but I figured that was a topic.
No, it is a topic. It's a topic. But Joe, you getting excited, man?
Of course I am.
We need to plan out what our live show is going to do. We need to get that under our belt. We learn every time we do a live show, we learn something new, and we definitely need a icebreaker question that we can talk about amongst ourselves to warm the crowd up before we jump to the crowd. I wonder if we can get Mark Gunn to come and do the commercial break again.
That would be awesome.
That'd be really cool. But that's not what we're here to talk about, although there will be some Dragon Con talk later on.
The question
of the week. Wow, how can Stroke Man start after you and finish before you, Kurt? I'm just saying. Drama much? Dude, say it. Say it. You know you want to say it,
Mike.
It.
Shut up, Mike.
There you go. That's probably our most popular hashtag. Hashtag shut up, Mike. So what's the question of the week, Joseph?
The question of the week is, what's your favorite thing about one of your grandparents? And I am very curious to know what your answers to this are, because I only met one of my grandparents, and even then only
Really?
lived near them for about a year before they passed.
Interesting.
I can go first if you like.
Go for it.
So my great grandmother, my favorite thing about her, and always was, is she was born in 1899. She played piano at silent films in movie theaters in her area. And the old story she would always tell is that her dad shook hands with Abraham Lincoln. And the timing works.
Got it.
Whether it's true or not, the timing works. So I don't know.
Are they only because of records are so shaky? Are they sure she's born in 1899?
Yes.
I mean, okay.
Yep.
So no, a lot of times it's like, well, sometime between 1898 and 1902.
But census records,
in some areas they're really good, right?
No, you're right. But I mean, generally speaking, they can be verified also by the previous and next census records as well. If there's some consistency there, granted, it's still 10 years, but there are more things that would verify that than you might think.
Trying to get us a sponsor. Mountain Dew's in the cup tonight. Should we dig her up and carbon date her? Is that what you're saying?
I really wish you wouldn't, because I really liked her.
Why did I mean, obviously you sound like
carbon dating isn't quite that precise.
Yeah, I know, right? Shook hands with the man.
Theoretically.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, yeah, how do you prove or disprove that
the
timing is there, right?
Yeah.
Still fun.
As long as it wasn't in a theater.
Right.
My grandfather was the paramedic that rushed him to the hospital. So,
my grandfather used to hunt vampires with Abraham Lincoln.
I like that one. So technically, I met 3 of my 4 grandparents. I say it that way because my mother's dad left them when they were little. Kind of bad joke, but also a little serious.
He went to get milk and never came back.
Yeah, kind of. But seeing how all those kids can act. Well, one, we're pretty sure, we being the generation of grandkids that grew up in a more technological world where we can learn more things, we're pretty sure he's bipolar and had some schizophrenia going on. But also the way the women came out in that family, I mean, it might have been deserved. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So I didn't meet him.
Wow.
I technically met that grandmother, but I was a baby, and then she passed away. So I only knew my dad's grandparents, and man, I loved how much they basically spoiled me within the limits that my parents would allow. Like, they wanted to buy me a 4-wheeler for this mountain property they had, and my mom said no, which I've always kind of been sour about. But
your mom had a really low voice.
You don't even know, Kurt. She makes your heart gravy look like KFC gravy. All right. She had the Barry White voice going on. But it was just how much they did get. Like, Max served in World War II, was at Pearl Harbor. I think I've told that story, haven't I, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or you're sleeping on the other side of the
yeah, exactly. Well, not sleeping. They were partying all night on the beach. So, I don't think anybody slept. But yeah, came back the next morning and the bombing was going on. And yeah, so he was spared, but yeah.
Just not in the unconscious form.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. I mean, my grandfather was a bit of a player. He had a wife in the military. After a year, they just got divorced when he was getting out of the military. And then they went back and made up for a minute, and then parted ways. So he was a military dude for sure. But he would share some of the stories, and you could just tell he just wasn't nearly as strict as it came out with my parents both. And so just having some alone time with him, hearing the stories. I remember their property was in North Carolina on the side of this mountain near Old Fort. I believe it was a little nothing town at the time. I don't know what it's done since. But it was this acre and a half on the side of a mountain that, about an acre of it was flat and the rest kind of was went up the mountain. And we'd go and always go because in the winters they would be in Florida and then the summers they'd be in North Carolina. So you go up there and it was high enough elevation that it'd still be cool in the summertime. So they had a double wide trailer, but they had those window fans that if you let the doors open, the air would just flow through, and just to hear the crickets and the wildlife, and every once in a while, Black Panther or something screaming out in the mountain. It was
Wakanda
fun.
Forever.
It was cool. Oh my God, Kurt. That we apologize to random kid. No, I don't know.
Why?
I don't even
Why
know
not?
onto that. Yeah.
Why not? So, Joe, tell us about the one grand person that beat the crap out of you.
Wow. You know what? I'll talk about my great aunt instead. I only met her once.
Wait. Wasn't this your question?
No.
Oh, okay. So you didn't know any of your grandparents, or were they just boring?
So I had my grandpa on my mom's side died before I was born. My grandma.
I'm sorry, which side? Which side?
My mom's side.
Okay.
And so did my grandma on my mom's side. My mom's stepmom, the only memory I have of her is her funeral. So my mom's side's completely out. My dad's side, we went there and I met my grandma once for a week. And my grandpa, and then we moved there several years later, and we were there for about a year before my grandpa passed away. So
you didn't really know your grandparents.
Not really, no.
Oh, that stinks.
Yeah, and during that week that I was there, I think I was 5, almost 6, because we celebrated my birthday there. I also met my two of my great aunts. My Nana and Aunt Franny, is what they were called. And Aunt Franny, the story that I was always told of her was that she tripped in the tub and her eyeball popped out. And so she had a fake eyeball.
Oh,
I need some more details on how that works.
Wait. Did she pull it out for you when you were kids just to gross you out?
We already knew that she had a fake eyeball, but yeah, she did pull it out.
Yeah.
And then
Papa NASCAR. Come on. That's Grandma NASCAR.
The stories with them, they were apparently super, super, super wise with their money. Like, they didn't work, but they put all their money in the stock market, and they did really well with investments. And their apartment was a fixed rate apartment. As long as they were there, they couldn't change the how much they paid. And so
Big boys call that rent control, Joe.
Yes. Okay. They don't really do that these days. So, but yes, it was rent controlled. And so, they paid a little bit more up front, but they also stayed there for like 25 years. And so by the end, the landlord was trying everything they could to get them out of there, because
of course. Yeah.
they were like paying
$50 a month.
Yeah. so little. And so it was always Nana and Aunt Franny were great with money, and Aunt Franny lost her eyeball. And those were the stories that I always heard about them. But I only met them once when I was 5. So,
oh man, if I had a fake eyeball, I'd be like, every time my granddaughter came and hit me in the back or something like that, I'd make it pop out, just say, "Oh my God, what'd you do?"
What'd you do? Yeah.
So many cool things you could do with that thing.
Family oddity stories are the best. This is
Yeah.
John. I agree. They were pretty good. All right. Well, you know what time it is.
Roll that dice.
How do I?
Live without you. All right.
every time.
Every time.
Every
Just
time.
about. That's all I hear though. It's all so when
I
that
agree.
movie Con Air, when that movie Con Air came out, it was a pivotal time in my life where I was listening to a lot of radio constantly, and all you heard was "How do I live?" And I hadn't even seen the movie, and I rushed out and got the soundtrack, which I regretted because that was really the only good song on the soundtrack. But there's 2 versions on there, and it was really good. And then just loved the movie, and it was just the epitome of the 90s, so it's stuck in there. I'm at Zennial. I don't know if you are on TikTok very often, but there is a person doing a skit going around of how the millennial and the Generation X, right? And there's this overlap of Zennials that only talk. The joke is they only talk in movie quotes, and it's
I think I've seen that. Got some
yeah,
videos for that guy.
Yeah. Try this, and they'll say a line, and all of us would think of it like, you left up the bun and you say, "Where's the beef?" Come on, thank you, Kurt. You're
I got it.
yeah. Then he's like, "Well, try one more." He goes, "Life."
It's like a box of chocolates.
There you go, Joe.
You never know what you're gonna get.
That was definitely more iconic, but I also think secondly of life is like a hurricane.
Here in
that part. Yeah, I don't know the lyrics. There you go. But that's how I think. Anyway, that's what we're called talking about. Why'd you pick out internal organs, fools? That's easy. You have multiple kids, so easily harvestable organs. Come on.
No, which ones do you pick at while you're just sitting around?
I did just watch The Island, so that's another way to get your organs.
Ooh.
That's good. I like The Island. It's a good movie.
Isn't that the one with the clones?
Yeah, so it's got Uma McGregor and Scarlett Johansson. And
did you say Uma Gregor?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Uma Thurman McGregor. They're clones, and rich people can buy to have themselves cloned, although they don't know that the clones are conscious. They think they're vegetables. But
right,
yeah, it's a good one. I like it. I like it a lot. I watched it actually just a couple weeks back. It's good stuff. But that isn't our how do I pick
it is not
my organs.
But you bought me time because I was also trying to make a quick post to promote that we're on YouTube tonight. Come find us there.
Tube.
Thank you for buying that time. I said pick out internet providers. Now if you're a patron,
I have no issues on picking out my internet provider.
Yeah, I know, right? But you're butt faced, and you've had to pick it out before, so you can contribute or you can just be smug, and that's why Kelsey's not even here tonight. So I don't want to hear it. So if you're a patron, you've heard that I was going through some issues trying to pick out maybe a new provider.
Yeah, you even talked to the T-Mobile people at Southern Fried Gaming Expo. They had a little booth there for their 5G Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and because I do really want sponsors, I'll be honest and just honest. And I'm not going to disparage anything because I'd love for them to do better and connect with us. Because I'd love to be able to be a spokesperson or something with this show about, hey, Parliament of Papas, you need to go to T-Mobile. That's where the fam's at. I did end up ordering it, and because I've done a bunch of different research, and it does work with the
because didn't they also say you could cancel within like a week
15 days? Yes.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. Somebody banned this bot over here. Joe, what's up with this bot right here? What's up? We know Kelsey's not here. You're being extra smart. That's a bot.
She's like the person from Monsters Inc. Always watching.
Roz, is that Roz?
Yeah, Roz.
Her name.
Always watching Wazowski.
There you go. And fiber's where I'd want to go. It's still for some reason not quite in my area. I don't know why, because they were definitely making progress to put it in my area. But I did end up.
Then they heard you wanted it, and they were like, "Nah, we can't let him have that. He'll become too powerful."
Kelsey, call him upstairs for something. I'd like to tell a story for one. I know he talks all the time, right? It's just, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I love you, man. I'm just getting excited about Dragon Con. Anyway.
So he really wishes he had internet, but his internet just went out on him for some reason. No idea why that happened. No idea at all.
Whole world.
We gotta change the logo.
So I can mute you guys on the recording, and the world will never know because our video plays are not nearly as high as our downloads. So, but yes, I did order the T-Mobile because I did research. I said, okay, of course it ranges. It depends on your signal, but honestly, when I bought T-Mobile about 2 years ago, I think it was, we swapped over to T-Mobile. it was rough at the house signal wise, but everywhere else it worked for me. And that's what I needed for my job. I was like, I really need really good coverage everywhere I go. And everywhere else it was fine. And they've really improved it to the point that when we start talking about I become robotic before, if it's before the show, I'll actually cut off the Comcast wired cable to my house. I'll cut the computer off of it rather and connect to my phone. Way better. And it's like it's a gig down or higher. Sometimes it can be up to 500 or 600 up sometimes with T-Mobile. So I'm like, okay, I feel fairly confident. I don't know if I got a bad unit or if it's just different, but I was very disappointed in the setup. And the running of it.
15-day trial.
Yeah, I just got it Monday or Tuesday. No, Monday. I got it Monday because I played with it for. It's supposed to be an easy setup, right? I told my wife, like, no offense, but it's designed for people like you who don't want to understand tech, who don't need it. You just want to plug it in, turn it on, and it works.
Plug and play.
And it, Quoty Fingers did. And before I hooked anything else up to it, I connected my phone to it. And I could not open speed test. Because what's the first thing we all do as nerds when we get to an internet? I don't care where it is, right? We're in a restaurant. Oh, there's a guest Wi-Fi speed test. Every time.
Yep.
Every time. It's just, that's my crack, right? I just want to play with speed test. And I was like, to the point it wouldn't open up, that I actually started Googling, does the T-Mobile modem block speed test? And some other people would ask that question, but it looks like in general, no. Like they even advertise in the picture in the commercials. Here's their speed test speeds and this kind of things.
Right.
So I just grabbed my wife's Mac laptop. We're sitting 3 feet from it, connected it. It would do stuff, but some of it was slow. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not paying for internet to wait for YouTube to load or Facebook. But then it sped up. Then eventually it did let me do something. It let fast.net, fast.com. Then the one from Netflix, fast.com. It did that one. It was showing okay speeds. So I said, okay, maybe it just has to warm up. I don't know. It's being a little weird. So then I tried to hook my mesh to it. It did okay. I actually ended up on Tuesday. So I ended up putting the old internet back Monday. I went to see Deadpool 3, which no spoilers. I'll talk about a little bit and what I'm learning out about. And then so Tuesday when I got home, before I had to do some Dragon Con stuff, I reset it back up. It seemed to be okay. Like I want to see it work. I want to say, boom, I see this pops. I can speed test. I can check speed test. I can hardwire over here, check that speed test. Wasn't quite getting that. Yes, Rando Kid. I did try turning it off and back on again. Once or twice.
Fair question though.
It actually is. And it really is. So I got my mesh network set up, which by the way is now called Maximum Effort. I reset the whole mesh network to see if that was a problem, connected it in. I did okay here in the office, but there was some breaking up. There was some iffiness to it. And I was like, I don't know, man. But then when I go into the house, my wife's in there on her phone in the living room and she's like, babe, I'm like, what? She goes, put the internet back. It's trash. Now I get mad at her because I've dealt with this for 23 years. Kurt, Joe, you both work in a version of IT where you're doing support and somebody comes to you with an IT problem. What do you need from those people to help them?
Money.
Okay.
That's fair. That's fair. Symptoms.
Things that you can, exact issues, right? Things that you can go, let me try to recreate this. So I said, you know what? I'm not listening to you. One, I don't even know if you connected the TV right because I changed stuff without getting to talk to you. And it's written on the board because we had that big whiteboard in our entryway. So it's written on the board. Two, there literally is a thing that says internet issues with a line, and you're supposed to write down what's going on. So saying it's trash, shut up. And then I went and get my ice cream.
You got to fill out the form, sign it in triplicate, do all the things.
Ticket. Come on.
Did you get approval from your manager?
Yeah. John's got details.
I need your insurance card to see if it's covered.
So I just gotta side note, I'm not snappy, like I don't control what I'm saying snappy. I've been a little snappy as in I'm tired of people using me as a real punching bag and thinking I'll just take stuff. So I've been a little pushy back on a whole lot of things lately. So that was one of them. So then once I took my time to get my ice cream and whatever water or whatever I was going to drink that night and then get settled on the couch, I'm like, okay, Now, if you'd like to tell me what you tried to do, I was patronizing a little bit. If you'd like to tell me what you tried to do so I can understand it, I will be happy to hear you. But I've told you a million times, saying something's trash, I'm just going to tell you to shut the F up. So what? She goes, well, we'll play any show anywhere. I'm like, all right, let me try. So sure enough, I'd made sure the connection was right. It's a Roku box and went to Max. Well, Max loaded and it's kind of played the movies. The first one thing was up was Twister, because Twister 2 is out right now. And so Max is promoting Twister and it looked kind of crap. I'm like, well, I don't know if it's crap because they just basically copied the VHS of Twister and put it on Max, or if it's the internet. So I tried the second Dune 2, Electric Boogaloo, whatever it's called.
Yep.
And it looked just as good as I remember seeing this. Okay, maybe it's still like 1080 and stuff 4K, but it's not the internet necessarily. Go to Netflix, it asks who's watching, locks up every single time on the laptop, on the TV, on the phone. It will not let Netflix load at all. So okay, we're done. I mean, I can only spend 2 nights working on this, and it really was a chance to give a review on this and say I am going to take it back and tell them my story. It's like, look, with one computer on it, it did this, and then when I connected to my network, it didn't get any better. So I don't know if I'm just not right for the product. Maybe it's my exact address is just a little off, but the fact that it's showing good speeds, and when I say good speeds, it's well over 600 on some tests. It just didn't make sense. And I can't, and that's the thing. It is a consumer product. Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, it sounds like it has some serious DNS resolution issues, considering that it seems to be site specific. So it might have routing issues with some of the popular traffic nodes.
Little side note, this episode is brought to you by patreon.com. We're going to add a new patron tier. So you can pay to see me have a conversation with Joe Biden while eating ice cream, because that's what Random Kid wants, and Random Kid gets what Random Kid wants. So that's a fun tier. Now, I'm not sure how
that would definitely
be
an interesting,
me, but yeah,
an interesting video.
So yeah, but the thing is, it really very much is a plug and play box. It's turn on, it finds your phone, and you go through the T-Life app, which I think is a great app, and the setup to that was very good, but there's nothing I can change or check on it. Right? There's nothing I can say, let me check the settings. Let me see if I can check this thing or swap that thing. So basically, I love T-Mobile. If you're listening, we'd love to have you as a sponsor. And I very much love your phone service and your customer service. Let me tell you, T-Mobile customer service in the cell phone industry, in my experience, above all else. However, it just didn't work for me. It didn't work for me, but I do love that it's a 15-day trial, so I can take it back this weekend and not worry about it.
So in case anybody's wondering, they're not listening.
Maybe not today. Maybe
not
live
to you
right
when you
now.
call them on the phone. They don't listen
But
to you.
Here's my deal. The moment T-Mobile tags us, says they're listening, they don't have to throw us money. They tag us and say we're listening. Kurt retires.
Yep.
That's the bottom line.
Yep, I'll do that.
But
Kurt's their favorite one, so they'll never tag us.
Right. Well, and the cool thing is,
wait. Why would he be the favorite one, Joe? Why is he the favorite one, Joe?
Because I'm not that aggressive.
Look, you want good coverage? You get your butt on that T-Mobile. I'm turning this car around.
Yep, exactly.
Good stuff. But that 15-day trial is beautiful because it's zero stress. I could take my time to see if it works. So right now, I'd be calling and arguing. I don't want this. Now I got to turn my other one back on. I was able just to pull the Comcast modem out of the way, connect up the T-Mobile one, and try it, which is great. And my only other options, well, I mean, not viable options. I got crap options for Spectrum and for AT&T, and they're all way lower than Comcast. And my issue with Comcast is just sometimes the upload, which is what I need for my streaming, gets wonky on me. And then we found one called Easy Internet or something like that, and I'm going to see if they'll let me do a trial. My house is built on an ancient Native American burial ground.
Yep.
So, but what about you guys? Obviously, you've gone through moves. You've had to sometimes pick. Now, Joe, you're fortunate to live in an area right now where it's part of your utilities, and you get gig up, gig down, and which is great. But
well, I pay for their lowest amount, which is 300 up and down. But yeah,
but you still get parity, and you get stable internet.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
could
So
shop around.
I have synchronous speeds. I could shop around. There are 3 fiber options here now. I think I know there's at least 2 because I know AT&T put in fiber lines, but I think there's a third set of fiber optic lines locally. But like, if you talk to anybody in the area, they will tell you to go with EPB every day. That's what it's called, the electric power board. So the power company.
I thought that's what you called your food stamps in Chattanooga. My bad.
They're amazing. They have not increased their price in over a decade on their lowest offering, but they have increased the speed of their lowest offering. So because when I first got it, it was 100 up and down synchronous. And they were like, yeah, we're getting rid of the $100 speed tier, 100 megabit per second tier, and we're just gonna bump everyone up to 300. We're like, awesome. But yeah, when I first moved here though, we moved in with my in-laws, and they had, I think it was AT&T, and it was 3 megabits per second up and down.
Sounds like DSL.
And I was
good DSL.
Yeah.
And I at that time I was really big into League of Legends, and I was like, yeah, this is not gonna work for me. And so I was like, if you do not want to get better internet, I will pay for the internet while I'm here. And so they ended up looking into it, and it wasn't even that big of a price jump to go for them to go from 3 to 100. And so they're like, okay. And I don't think they've ever regretted upgrading that. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. Yeah. My wife says he absolutely never wants to move from the area because of the internet. I have told my wife that if we move from this house, it needs to still be within EPB service area, because of the other internet companies petitioning the government. EPB is not allowed to expand its area.
Wow.
But the area that it does cover, it basically has a monopoly because of how good the service is.
That's pretty strong.
What about you, Kurt?
So we have a few different options around here, and I'm not even counting the providers that resell other line services. So we've got 2 separate fiber companies that actually have their own runs, and we have Comcast or Xfinity, and I think we have Consolidated Communications, which does provide. Still provides like a DSL type service. But so I have fiber through a company called FAMdom, which is the fiber offshoot of Consolidated. That's all that is. And right now I'm still in the promotional period because I've only had it for a little less than a year. And it is right now $55 a month for gig up, gig down. And that's going to go up to
a good price.
Yeah,
Very
it's good price. It's going to go up to like I think $80 or $90 a month, which is
that's still fantastic. I'm paying $90 right now.
You're supposed to get down. Re-upped, aren't you, on the introductory price because of the snafu?
Okay. He's supposed to have a note to say,
yes.
Yeah, that note is non-existent. And in fact, when I called them to complain about my bill getting kicked back up, they're probably going to say, yeah, nobody works here anymore that was here last year when this happened to you.
Probably.
So it doesn't matter. So if it goes back up to, if it goes like to the 80 or 90, whatever it is, it's still going to be cheaper than what Comcast was for slower speeds.
Yeah, that's actually comparable to the gig line here. I think, or no. That's the 2.5 gig line here. But it's all in the ballpark.
Right. And honestly, other than the week-long outage that I had due to a miscommunication on their part, it's been great service. I really haven't had any issues. So, and when it was out, it was because the line got cut. So
that's a good reason to be out.
Yeah. So
it should have never been cut.
Well, agreed, but I think it was due to a storm.
Okay.
Either way, it's still not because they're just not taking care of things, is all I'm really saying.
Right. So yeah, it's way better than cable, which I had for years. I've had cable, I've had DSL, I've had ISDN back in the day.
Holy cow! Wow.
Well, and this was. I had ISDN where you had to have an installer come and install the special ISDN line, get a separate modem for it because it was, again, and it was way higher speed than at that point. We were still doing dial-up, and dial-up was like 56.6.
Yeah.
And ISDN was 128K or 512.
So kiddos, for comparison, to download a JPEG, a relatively small JPEG, you would do it on 56K. I think you'd do it over about an hour and a half.
And you'd only get to the shoulders.
Yeah, watch the lines as it goes down.
Yeah, you would only get to the shoulders. If you
a single picture. Yeah, I know. For a single picture, that's what he's talking about with those speeds. Whereas now, if they can't have, I shouldn't say them the same way. If we can have our YouTube running and this going and that going, and it lags for a second, and we're like,
what's going on with the internet?
You hit play. I get fussy when I hit play on any digital show, and it spins for like 2 seconds and then it plays. Like, what are you doing?
Unless it's the ad, then the ad starts right away.
Right.
Oh, well, yeah,
it's the show itself that spins.
Yep.
So that's you're not wrong about that.
But we live in a magical age, is all I'm saying.
I'm saying that too. Dude, this is why
roll that dice. Roll that dice. Roll that dice.
So there's that. But
Mike.
That's why I said but that's legit why I always say I want to live forever, because of how far we've come in my lifetime so far. It's just magical.
Yep.
To sit out in my backyard, watch a movie on the projector, a fire pit, and I'm sitting here talking with Joe in chat or something and watching else,
but you can't watch it on the projector because your projector doesn't work anymore.
That's a different projector. Just because I'm an early adopter, son.
More like a late adopter, since they no longer support it.
If you hadn't rolled the dice, I'd take you off the screen right now.
What are you nerding out about?
Kurt, you're first in line.
Yeah. So the Playhouse word of the day is paniculectomy. So whenever anybody says paniculectomy, you have to scream. Yeah. So all that is it's a fancy term for loose skin surgery, specifically dealing in the area of the panum, which is literally just the front flap skin that hangs over your belt for the most part. If you've lost a lot of weight, and I've lost between 155 and 160 pounds, you end up with a lot of loose skin. And where that loose skin happens is anybody's guess. In my case, a lot of it happens in my belly and it hangs over. And to the point where I can't buy regular sized pants because I have to account for the extra skin. So I said, well, it's about time. I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary of losing weight, or of starting to lose weight in September. And I said, well, I'm just going to talk to my doctor this year and see what they say. And the doctor looked at things and asked me some very pointed questions. He goes, well, I'm going to refer you for a consultation to a plastic surgeon that specializes in this kind of thing. I said, great. And again, that's all covered by insurance because it's a direct referral from my primary care physician. But insurance is always an issue, and you have to jump through some hoops usually to figure out whether or not the insurance company is going to cover it, and because they don't want to. They just don't want to. But this plastic surgeon specializes in dealing with the insurance companies as well. So I went, had my consultation. I will tell you, not the best visit that I've had, because nothing puts you in your place than having a drop trowel and have somebody with a digital camera taking pictures around your crotch area. That's not the most comfortable place that I've been. But
at least you could use them for your OnlyFans account.
Oh no. That's what we call in the biz no.
How are you paying for the surgery then? Come on, man. That's how it works.
Yeah. So the doctor said, okay, so the two major criteria for qualifying through your insurance company are having lost either over 100 pounds or having a BMI under 30, which is weird because that makes you no longer obese, but that's okay. And I think it's because you've proven that you've lost a significant amount of weight to have the loose skin,
sure, and
you're under the BMI. BMI is a different topic for another night because it's crap. But anyhow, so I qualify not under the BMI because technically my BMI is about 32% right now, or 32. The number, it's not even a percentage, but a number. But I've lost 155 plus pounds. And so I definitely qualify there. So he also asked some pointed questions that has to do with rashes and infections and chafing and all that, which has happened. So he took pictures, sent it off to the insurance company. They called me on Monday to say, hey, we're just waiting on the insurance company, but they need you to pick a date for the surgery in case they approve it. And they gave me September 4th or end of October.
Okay.
The problem with anything other than September 4th is it then interrupts 2 or 3 other events that I have to be at. So September 4th was really the only real option because it's 6 weeks of recovery.
Oh.
So 7 weeks of the initial recovery, but then you spend 7 days of the initial recovery. Then you spend another 5 weeks or 6 weeks not being able to lift anything heavier than 5 pounds.
So you're like not bedridden, but you're healing for 7 days. And then you go back to work as long as you don't get crazy.
So with my job, since I work from home, I have a little bit more flexibility there, but I can't take the Dragon Con time and then an additional 7 days right after that.
Yeah.
For recovery. I can't. And it just doesn't. I would go crazy being out of work for that long because the catch up after that, even at not my best, is going to be ridiculous. And I don't really have the extra vacation time either. So even though I could take short-term medical, but it's not, I don't even have short-term disability insurance. So it's a whole thing. So unfortunately, this means I'm not going to be able to go to Dragon Con. Because the insurance company called on Wednesday and said, you are approved.
Okay.
So I will tell you, there's a little voice in the back of my head that says, good thing you chose September 4th. It gives them less time to change their mind.
Well, that really highlights the random kid statement. The insurance system is completely bonkers. In the US.
Don't even,
yeah,
there's, okay. Mini, I swear to God, mini insurance rant.
Go for it.
Insurance, medical insurance covers things that are broken on your body sometimes.
Yep.
And the fact that we have to have separate insurance for teeth, eyes, and ears, sometimes ears, not all the time, but sometimes ears, is ridiculous. If your eyes are broken, a part of your body is broken. You did nothing for it. I might make an exception for teeth because you do have some order of control over that. Not all, but some.
Sure.
But eyes and if a doctor says this needs to be fixed anywhere on your body, and the insurance company goes, we don't think that you need that.
Right.
The
Yeah,
fact that
if
they
it's supposed to be
dictate-
covered, and your doctor says you need it, that should be the end of the discussion, in my opinion, when it comes to insurance.
So basically insurance companies in the United States dictate treatment, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that being said, I'm going in on September 4th, which is a Wednesday. I am out that evening. It's a same-day surgery.
Wow, that's good.
It's good because I live across the street from the hospital. I can just,
Mosey
go
on
home.
over.
Well, I'm not going to walk. I'm
Well,
going to walk over there, but I'm not walking home.
I was like, Mr. Boutine, you can't drive home. Don't worry about it, darling.
I'll just
I
roll
got
down
you.
the hill.
Just take the brakes off the wheelchair. I'll make it. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
that is
man.
good, though.
Well, and
Yeah.
to rant more about insurance a little bit.
Rant on, ranter.
When I was in college, I tried to get a colonoscopy because the recommendation is 10 years prior to family history, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, I was in my mid-20s, and both my sister and my grandfather had colon cancer in their mid-30s.
Oh, okay.
And so I went to the doctor, he agreed that I should have it, and he submitted it, and insurance was like, no, you're too young. I'm like, all right. So it was another 6 or 7 years before I ended up getting my first colonoscopy, and they did, in fact, find polyps. So luckily it wasn't cancerous at the time, but they did find stuff that was problematic. And basically I'm in my mid-30s, and I've already had 3 colonoscopies, and 2 of those they've found polyps. And they've told me
you're on the 5-year plan because
at this
they
point
found polyps.
At this point, they've told me the most I should go in between for the rest of my life is 3 years.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
I am not volunteering to help you with the colon probe, sir. I may be a medical professional.
the
but I shall refer
colonoscopy
you.
itself isn't. I mean, you're out for it, so it's really not that bad. It's the prep that sucks.
Oh,
and
it's so bad.
It's the drinking it that is the worst part for me. Oh,
The hose is supposed to go in the other end, dude. You're doing it wrong. The hose doesn't go in your mouth to drink it. You're doing it wrong.
I'm not getting an enema. It's a colonoscopy.
Hey, difference.
You call yourself a medical person?
Charles, have you had one yet?
Oh no.
Oh, you haven't.
No.
Wait. You're not not quite 50 yet either.
Correct. He
Not
isn't.
at all.
Although, didn't they lower that to 40?
It depends on who you talk to, but probably.
But whatever. Yeah. So I got mine. Luckily, no polyps. So I'm on the 10-year plan. But yeah, that was actually some people hate general anesthesia because it freaks them out. I love general anesthesia. Put me out. And I wake up and go, oh, that's right. I'm in the hospital. Oh, that felt great.
Thanks for the nap.
I will say, after my colonoscopy, I woke up and I did the little mini clench and went, oh, good, doesn't hurt. Because I don't know, right? All you know is they're going to stick stuff.
Right.
Oh, man. Hey, here you go, Charles. You got some advice from chat.
Do the poop in the box.
Yep. Poop in the box. Just
First thing you do is you cut a hole in the box. Sprite that cleans you out. Cause that's funny.
If only it was bubbly.
Well, this is actually perfect timing. Cause is one of our amazing volunteers over at Dragon Con, and there was a very special announcement made at DragonCon this past Saturday. Did
Kurt's
anybody?
not coming.
That was the special announcement.
That was made. Yes,
I know what it is.
What is it?
They like your face.
They
do like
officially DragonCon announced a new spokesperson for the convention.
Spokesperson team.
Whatever. And as part of that spokesperson team, the one, the only, Joseph Ard.
The moneymaker, baby.
Wait.
Now, Charles McFall has been promoted, I would say, to the official team. And that is pretty freaking awesome because, frankly, from a selfish point of view, that just means better things for the digital media track.
Yeah, it does. And I'm saying director is digital media track. My partners are Renee, who runs the animated track, which is about 3 doors down our hall, and she's amazing. And Joe, who works on the comic track, not that Joe Garland, who works on the comic book track over in the vendors hall. And we all bring our special talents, and it's really good balance. And I'm very excited about it because it's going to open up. I mean, as a selfish thing too, it's going to open up more doors for me to speak to people. Yeah, meet people.
It's going to open up Mordor for you.
Mordor.
You can drop that ring right in there.
You know, I took it to heart. One does not simply walk into Mordor. You just keep taking over things at
Charles doesn't simply walk.
There.
He struts right into Mordor.
Oh no! Somebody, Jen says. So I get that. Jen says I know somebody who got rejected. I felt bad when he told me because I knew about Charles. I was like, I get that. And
was that someone's name? Philip Keating?
Oh, we can only hope, right? We can only hope. That'd be 2 losses at DragonCon. He said, "No, I'm sorry. I love you, Phil." Phil doesn't listen. Why am I apologizing? He doesn't even listen. He just puts us up when he's lonely and wants to come on and tell bad jokes on the show. So, but yeah, I was excited about that. So, I actually do have a number of interviews this month. And as you can imagine, I'm going to be focused on the digital media long form podcast stuff and not the go on TV at 6 a.m. morning show short bites. That's Renee. Renee is she's very, very good at that. And she'll be the one that you'll see on all the morning shows, the Atlanta, Good Day Atlanta, and all that stuff that goes on, and where they can get the 2-minute blurbs down to 30-second stuff. I like to take an hour. So Dan Carroll is educating us and teaching us and handing the torch over, and he's done it for 18 years. He's been the spokesperson, and it's just gotten to be too much. I mean, it really is a lot with all the digital media, all the different radio interviews, all the different press interviews for one person to handle. It's become a lot. So we're doing that, and he had us try to do a tight 5 on what DragonCon is, and I did okay on it. But I made the statement. I said, man, you asked me for 5. I just glossed over everything. I need like 30 minutes minimum. He's okay, go memorize a 30-minute 5. I'm like, do you want to sit here and listen to me talk for 30 minutes? I will do it. I will do it right now.
Don't tempt me.
Minutes. Yeah, don't test me. I'll give me 10 minutes to write my bullet points, and I will preach for 30 minutes. He's like, never mind. It's fine.
Preach the good word of DragonCon.
Yep.
Yeah. They renamed it DevoCon. And Kaz says, I have DC friends outside of digital media track, which you should. To those who listen, to those who've heard this, you can spread the word. I'll talk to any interview on any podcast, live stream. It doesn't necessarily have to be recorded. I've been working a little bit with the streaming crowd in Georgia. I forgot the official name of the group. That's the live streaming group here.
That'll get you an invite.
They don't remember who I am either, so it's even right this second. But I did have somebody reach out and say, "Hey, would you just come hang out on the streams?" Like, yeah, I'll come. As long as we talk some DragonCon stuff, then it can be official. I'm also working with the social media team at DragonCon to then make those things promotable. I don't know if you ever did an interview. Oh yeah. Okay, so Kurt, like, if I'd came on to Fat Guy Little Coat podcast. What's our
Fat Guy in a little coat.
Yeah.
Chris Farley.
Plus size stories.
Yeah. If that had been a thing, then we would be able to submit it to drank on social media, and they would say, "Go check." Spokesperson Charles was over here on
Right.
Plus Size Stories. Go check out that. So that's really cool. I'm very excited. Joe, I'm not even sure what jokes to make about yours. So I'll just let you introduce it.
So my wife and I
My
were my wife. I don't even remember what streaming service it was on. I think it was Netflix. But anyway, I got a little blurb saying the Great Wall is leaving soon, and I remembered seeing a preview for it ages ago, and then I completely
movie.
forgot about it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I should give that a watch because it was leaving. I think Netflix. And so it's got a fair number of actors. It's got Pedro Pascal, and it's
The
got
big one, at the time of filming, the big one was Matt Damon. Not
Yes.
Matt Damon. Yeah, Matt Damon.
Yeah, it's Matt Damon. Matt Damon and Pedro Pascal, actually before he really blew up, I guess. William Dafoe and so it's got all of that, and then a bunch of I mean, this is gonna sound bad, but I don't know the name of a lot of the Asian actors and actresses, but I have seen a couple of them in other things. But I had to look up I had to look up whether it was Matt Damon or Mark Wahlberg for a second. So,
Look, you demons! I can't even do a Boston accent.
I think we got a transformer.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, it was fun. I'm not gonna say it's the best story ever, but it was entertaining, and it was good for what it was. It was cheesy, and I think the story itself was a little underdeveloped, but
It's all about the graphics, really.
yeah, the graphics were very good. It had some action shots that it didn't go full like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but some of the action shots kind of reminded me of that aesthetic.
The wires.
I was gonna say any wire work.
They're actually
a little bit.
There-
Actually, there's
there-
literal
there's
wire work. in
literally
there.
wire work in there because
Yeah.
some of the soldiers jump off the wall to attack some of the stuff down below, and then they pull them up with ropes.
It was very.
I remember
Cirque du
seeing-
Soleil.
I remember seeing the trailer. It was these monster things that are
Yeah, they're
attacking.
basically
Yeah. All right.
They show up every 60 years, and basically it says in it that basically the reason they built the Great Wall was because of the creatures. So it does preface at the beginning that there are a lot of legends about the Great Wall, and this is one of them. So it specifically said like this is a legend, and I mean there are monsters, so you would assume, but it blatantly tells you. So, but it was good. It was well done in my opinion. I do kind of wish it had an ending scene that changed up where one of the characters ended up at the end. But you know, it is what it is. So I
That
don't even
Taco
know.
Bell sponsorship was really weird at the end, but you know, it was fine. It was fine.
That's one way to beat the monsters. I mean, Mars Attacks has country music. They just used Taco Bell. Bam, monsters done.
That's not your slogan. Anyway,
Where's the
have you seen-
chalupa?
have
Yo
you
quiero
seen-
Taco Bell. Who needs a little chihuahua when you've got monsters that can
Right.
Right.
be your
Have you seen
spokespeople?
it, Kurt? No, I guess you
No,
haven't
I
Jurassic
haven't
Quest
seen
about
it. I haven't
If
seen
you
it
like
yet.
kung fu type movies, wire work, and and graphic. I mean, the graphics were very top notch.
Okay, I might watch it, unless I missed it, and then I don't care.
John's given his vote of approval. Says one of his favorite movies, and lots of good graphics, all about the action.
Wow.
So
Very accurate.
speaking of Pedro Pascal, Kurt,
Yeah.
you saw the announcements, yeah?
Yes, I did. There's all
Is he coming
kinds
to
of
DragonCon?
no. But
He is.
Pedro Pascal is your Mr. Fantastic from the new Fantastic Four movie. And
Okay.
And not just that, it's gonna be set in what, the 60s?
So here's what I predict. I predict it's going to start in the 60s. And I think that they're going to use multiverse or time travel to bring them to the present. Multiverse is going to pretty much bring a
Everything.
unified MCU. basically.
Yeah.
That's how the X-Men are going to cross over, and that's how
They're going to get rid of the Eternals, and
no, they're
that's-
not.
No,
No, they're
they're
not.
still
No,
doing- no, they're gonna do
in
the second Eternals.
in fact,
They're laying in.
the Eternals, the Celestial that is in the ocean right now from the Eternals movie,
yeah, that's the source of adamantium or whatever,
and
right?
was confirmed.
Oh, okay, I knew that was a
So,
huge theory, but they actually confirmed it.
And that is going to be in
Well, that's a game changer, then.
Captain America: New World Order, because they
that
have
looks surprisingly really good.
it does.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by that trailer.
Yeah, so we've got Indiana Jones playing Thunderbolt Ross, and because Bill Hurt died, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so Harrison is playing.
They explain it away with him shaving the mustache. I love that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
Yes.
that.
yeah.
What the new look? Yeah, I had to shave the mustache.
Well, which is weird. Like in the comics, he had the mustache, but
I mean, it was just kind of a.
I wouldn't be
Deadpool-esque.
surprised if Harrison Ford was
No,
like,
no.
"I'm not doing the mustache."
right. So there could be that too, because he's 170 at this point.
Yeah.
But they've got basically they showed a clip of him talking to people and saying, "Hey," addressing the UN or some World Council,
Sure.
and saying, "Hey, just to let you know, we found a new element on Celestial Island," which is what they're calling Tiamat, and it's called adamantium. Like he literally said the word adamantium,
And that changes the
Name
whole
dropped.
ball game for
It-
Wakanda.
It does, and so there's that, and we get a reveal.
I'm sure that's a huge debate in some circles whether adamantium or vibranium is better.
Oh, it doesn't even matter because in
Or-
the comics now it's all about Mysterium.
Mysterio.
There's a new one.
And
There's a
what's
new
the one that Thor uses? Isn't like
Uru.
no Uru? Okay.
Yeah, but that's it's Asgardian magic.
That's
space
alien
magic.
magic metal.
Yeah. But yeah, right now the big new element in comics in Marvel comics is Mysterium, which is described as a mutant metal.
We'll see where it goes.
So
Weird.
it can mutate based on external factors or something.
Maybe something like that. I don't even understand.
It's the MacGuffin. It is whatever they need it to be.
Yeah.
which is what adamantium was, which is what vibranium was.
is, But RDJ being Doom, as Kelsey alludes to
So
here.
that's the other thing. Yeah. So
That was interesting.
They marched an army of doom out on stage, and and one of them was dressed in a green robe, and he revealed his mask. He took off his mask, and it was Robert Downey Jr. And Robert Downey Jr. basically says that
Deal with it. I'm here.
he basically says same task.
Yeah, like playing
same
complex
task, different
characters.
mask is what he
Yeah.
actually said.
And I assume he's going to be some multiversal version
Yeah,
of Tony.
I see. That's what I think. I think they and they haven't announced it. They haven't said who he's actually playing except Doctor Doom. So
Maybe he was adopted or something.
I don't believe they're going to call him Victor Von Doom. I believe
You don't
he's
think
going
so?
To, no, I believe he's
Okay.
going to be Tony Stark from another multiverse.
Isn't there a
And-
version of Tony that goes evil in the
and
comics?
becomes Doctor Doom. And becomes Doctor
and becomes
Doom.
Doctor Doom.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there was a version of
Yeah.
Tony that went full Doctor Doom.
Yeah, so the next Avengers movie was going to be Kang Dynasty. Gone.
I know.
Well, the
I hate
actor
that he
kind of
that
had some
controversy.
issues. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was gonna be such a great
It could have been,
storyline.
and they could. Well, and it looks
Jonathan
like
Majors.
they're still going to keep Kang in because you can't just say no, he's gone.
Yeah, you can't hand wave that
right,
away.
right. But they're
They
going to
could
recast.
with God Loki.
Well, they're going to recast. They're just going to recast.
Yeah,
they did it
even
with
God
Rhodey.
Loki
They
could
did it with
explain some of that
Thunderbolt.
away. Yeah.
So they're going to recast. So it's all good.
Well, and the great part about the multiverse is you can explain actor changes really easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
So
Right. So
this version just looks a little different. I mean, look at going to Loki. Look how many different actors they had playing multiversal versions of Loki.
yes.
So having a different face for Kang isn't even a deal breaker at all.
They even had different actors playing multiversal versions of Wolverine.
All right, so
Yes!
but before we get there,
But
before we get
go
there,
there, we can't talk about that.
all right,
Spoiler
so,
alert.
We'll talk about Wolvie.
right. So the next movie is going to be called Doomsday, which is kind of the setup of this new Doctor Doom and make him the big bad. But it's going to be more like Infinity War Endgame. I think it's going to be so because the one following that is Secret Wars.
I'm assuming that in Doomsday, just like Infinity War, the good guys are going to lose.
I agree. Yeah. And I'm good with it.
I can almost guarantee that's what's going to happen.
Well, that's what happened in the comics too. Like, so the way all in the comics, and I don't know how closely they're going to follow this, but in the comics, you had multiverses colliding on each other, and why am I blanking on the Cabal? Not the Cabal, but it was in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
The Illuminati.
The Illuminati. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. So the Illuminati took it upon themselves to choose to destroy the other multiverse that was coming into our world.
I remember
right?
that storyline.
And so they were doing that over and over and over again, and they got found out. There was a big thing. But Dr. Doom figured out, oh, hey, wait, I can control this in a different manner, and started like picking and choosing other multiverses to survive. And as a result, our Earth died.
616.
616 died. And so Dr. Doom, because he tapped into some power, pulled bits and pieces from all the multiverses to make what was called in the comics Battle World.
Yep.
And so you would have just pockets of like all these different comic book multiverses in one Earth. And then that's how the new Secret Wars series started. And that's how I believe the movie is going to deal with it, is that it's going to be God King Doom, kind of, Doom set himself up as God on this world. He had an army of multiversal Thors fighting for him, that kind of thing. So I think we're going to get some of that, and then there's going to be some fallout, and somebody's going to get something and snap, and everything's going to go back to normal, sort of.
But will we see the white Vision? You think he'll make it reappear?
Yep. And I think it's going to happen way before that.
Okay.
Because, well, one, we get a new Agatha series coming very soon, and two, there was a series, and I think it's still on the books, called Vision Quest that was going to deal with that.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't realize that they had another series.
I think it's in the works. I don't know what's going on with it, but that was always the plan. So
we are going long already. So let's just tap on a little bit of love of Deadpool 3 or Deadpool and Wolverine, or if you know, it's Deadpool and Friend. Let me just tell you,
it's a buddy cop movie.
I mean, they literally called it Deadpool and Friend until the Super Bowl, and just before the Super Bowl, they tested poorly, and it had to be called Deadpool and Wolverine, and Ryan Reynolds had to go fight to change it because they'd already done a lot of marketing for Deadpool and Friend.
Right.
Which the only way that would affect anything would be that opening sequence, which we won't spoil for anybody.
Right.
Because you might have been thrown off but then you weren't. So anyway, let me just tell you what I love the most about this movie. From the get-go, it is brilliantly hilarious, and it doesn't stop. There are subtle running jokes. There are over-the-top running jokes. There are just new stuff, just little references to other movies they've done, the movies they haven't done. There's some great songs in there. I even caught they played every intro song from Deadpool throughout the first 10 minutes of the movie. It's just in the background. And like, oh wait, that was from the first movie. And it's just it is so good. But the surprises were not spoiled. They were not spoiled. I literally, for the first time in probably a decade, if not longer, I went, oh my God. And then the crowd started clapping. And I hate when crowds clap things done, but I started going, okay, I'll do it too. There was just, oh my God. And to know the reasons behind the jokes, was worth 20 years of watching every movie that was Marvel, whether it was crap or not, and keeping up with the news, because one of the jokes is only a joke if you know what the news was when Fox was being sold to Disney. You know, it's just, and it was smart. It was smart the whole time. I would say Deadpool 2, which was fun, was not as good as Deadpool 1, and it had some dumb jokes. I mean, it went little childish, like especially in that last battle with Juggernaut. It went a little childish. Never. I mean, yes, it goes gutter, but it's just so good. And even to the end, Hugh Jackman keeps it together to the very end when they're talking to Blind Al. And if you're not watching him, if you're watching Ryan Reynolds, you don't see Hugh Jackman break, but he breaks and he laughs. And it's that same loving laugh look that he gives in all the interviews he does with Ryan Reynolds. And it was just so good. So good.
It was so good. Man. So one of the coolest things for me was, just the overall, it was crazy, nutty, ridiculous in all the best ways.
All the best ways. Very Deadpool. So good.
Because
and multiversal at the same time.
Multiversal at the same time, and really like paid a lot of fan service to a lot of just stuff from the comics. I mean, when he was going to collect, I was amazed they tapped into a couple of those, and a couple of them you could predict that was going to happen if they were going to do that.
My boy shows up.
And again, I really don't want to spoil it. But so that, and
he rubbed his knuckles if you're on the podcast.
I did. And then the one that blew me away that I had no idea was coming. How do I say this without giving anything away?
Did he have a little gray in his beard?
No.
Okay.
It was the one that was repairing the motorcycle.
Oh yeah. Yes, I didn't.
And honestly, looked amazing.
And look, I know we might be irritating some people by really just doing the whole inside the brain talk here, but we want you to see it, because when you see it, it was not spoiled, and it was like, what? That is so good.
Oh
my God.
Would you recommend it for people who have not seen the other two Deadpool movies?
Yeah, you could do that.
Would they be missing out on a lot?
Well, so if you have if you're familiar with the characters but haven't seen those movies, yes. If you're not familiar with Deadpool or Wolverine at all, you are going to lose your mind, because you're not going to know half of what's going on. I think. I mean, it's just a lot of the jokes are very dependent on knowing some stuff.
It's hard to say. I would say I think you could do it as a brand new, I've never seen anything else, watch it, because they don't lean so heavily on the past.
Yeah. Well, I imagine that there's a lot of people who only watched MCU specific things, and Deadpool wasn't that for a long time. And so
look, it's on Disney Plus. I would say if you're gonna go watch it, it is worth your time to watch Deadpool 1 and 2.
Oh yes,
you know, and just get prepared. But yes, Joe, if somebody wanted to go see it just as fresh, it definitely references a lot of current MCU stuff. So
I would recommend watching
Green Lantern,
Logan as well.
Yes, Logan.
Now I would recommend watching Logan because it's just a fantastic movie. Like, and that could be a standalone.
Yeah.
There is a black and white version. I don't know if that one's on Disney Plus. It might.
There's a black and white version of Logan.
Yeah, they came out with a black and white. And honestly, I didn't even know. I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it works because of the tone of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, but
they don't change anything else in it other than take the whole film and make it that black and white, and it's just that kind of story. It just really works. Dude, just the surprises on top of surprises, and where I thought they were going to go one way, they went another, and it's so much better. And I just, since the first Deadpool movie, I have not been thrilled and excited in a film, because they're in the Deadpool movie, we just didn't know what to expect. And it was left turn after right turn after, and it was just what I've talked at length about what I miss about movies in the old days of not having the internet, and you won't know what's coming out. So you see the trailers. That's why it was so important for me to see the trailers. I want to know what's coming out next year. And then you waited and you didn't hear crap about it. And this was that. So we knew we were getting Wolverine.
Yep.
We knew we were getting Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Ryan. We knew certain things about it.
Yep.
And but the statement is the trailer gives away the best parts. No, the trailer gives away none of the best parts.
There's a lot of really bad marketing these days.
Yep.
But it sounds like they did a really good job with this. One of the things that really sticks out to me as good bait and switch marketing was Infinity War, where they showed the Hulk running with everybody, and then that never happened.
Yeah. Right. It was the Hulk Buster. Yeah. I do want to spoil one thing because it has become a little bit of a controversy, and Christians are getting upset, which, by the way, if you're a Christian going to a Deadpool movie rated R, there should be nothing that offends you. You shouldn't be doing that. But it's an iconic Wolverine cover of him on the red X with the raining blood and the skulls. It's a very iconic cover.
Right.
And that is one of the universes that Deadpool goes to get Wolverine. And that has become a little bit controversial, but it's not a cross and it's not about Jesus Christ. It is literally a whole separate thing. And covers are made to attract your attention, not necessarily reflect the story.
And that cover came out probably 20 years ago.
Oh, I know. But people, we don't know that. They just go through and he's jumping through universes, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, they're crucifying. No, they're not. And again, cover art is to make you pick up the book and buy it. And so while they were referencing everything they referenced for Wolverine was all iconic stuff.
And that was fantastically done.
Just saying.
As a Christian, I understand why people would get upset about crucifixion stuff, but you also got to remember Christ wasn't the only person ever crucified. The Romans I mean, even in the Bible, there were 2 other people with him that got crucified. Yeah. So it's I know that it's become a Christian symbol, but it's also the Romans crucified a lot of people.
Even in Life of Brian, there were so many.
Yeah, right. And my whole thing is like, wait a minute, let's step back to the facts here. Hard R on this movie. First, second, it is unleashing of Deadpool because they put Marvel quality and money behind it. So it really was that Deadpool quality, because I think the first one was real quality. It was that Deadpool quality with Marvel polish and Disney money. Yeah. So that's you should not expect anything less. I mean, if it was a cross, I still would not have expected less, but it's not. So we got to move on. But I'm Joe. One question while you roll the dice.
Roll that dice.
Have you seen Deadpool, and are you thinking about watching it?
No. In general, I don't watch R-rated movies. I used to watch a fair bit when I was a teenager or younger, but in general, I don't watch R-rated movies.
I know sometimes you cross the line.
So is that because of your faith, or is that because of your kids? And I know that's a terrible question. It allows for no other answer. I understand.
Is it because you beat your wife or you kill your kids?
Right.
No, they haven't mentioned it in years and years, but our church in the 90s especially was harping on don't go to R-rated movies. But it's just, there's a lot of stuff in there that it's just.
I liked it so much.
And I have no issue with that at all. I mean, I was just curious.
Yeah.
And it definitely matters why it's rated R. Like something like The Patriot.
Violence and language.
Like something like The Patriot or Gladiator. Glory. That I haven't watched those in probably 2 decades, but I that's something that I wouldn't mind rewatching, to be completely honest, because they're both fantastic movies. But anyway, right. I did roll the dice, and we have
time for a commercial break.
All right. You know what? We are going long. Let's just roll again. Kurt, tell them about patreon.com while you rolls.
Patreon.com/wise and nerdy, where you can support 2 of these 3 jokers that are on your screen right now at a free level or paid. And if you pay for it, then we'll give you something special every month.
That's not creepy at all.
Dad joke.
It appeals to a certain demo.
The bad dad joke does? I think you're right. It does.
Yep.
Why is Peter Pan always flying?
Why?
He never lands.
Oh.
Charles,
Even Kurt didn't like that one.
I can't believe you didn't like that joke because it never grows old.
I disagree, sir.
Better.
Roll that dice.
I disagree, sir.
Charles needs more happy thoughts. Then he would be flying high on that joke. All right. Have we done? No, we have not.
Council of Dads.
What
So
about
we are thinking about changing that. We're working with our logo. We've come up with some really cool ideas. John is helping us out with that, and it's really cool. I put in the wrong number there. Thank you, sir. But we found out owls are Parliament. So we're thinking about changing it to Parliament of Papas, which would be fun. So
However,
guys,
if you have an idea for a logo, a new logo for Wise and Nerdy, you can submit it to us. And if chosen, we'll give you a free month of Patreon.
I'm down with that. Yeah. Speaking of Patreon, we want to shout out Will Sander Castro and Keon Bass as part of our patrons over there. Thank you for being a part of that. And you know what? If we shout your name out, we might give you, and you contact us, hey, thanks for shouting my name out. We'll give you a free month of Patreon that way too.
Steven!
Which one? H&H? Take that one. So subscriptions versus buying stuff. We're all here old enough to remember the days of going to the store and buying it, and that was yours. And if you bought Microsoft Word or Microsoft Office, you're paying $400 or $500, but it is yours, and you just get updates, and no matter what, I mean, use it for 10 years as long as you find a computer that works. You just keep using it. And games, right? We're in the era now where I don't buy nearly as many games. I do prefer doing subscription because I just don't care about keeping it. If I do, like Borderlands 2 was the last one, I was like, I gotta have this. I bought like 3 or 4 copies. I have one on my PC, one on my Xbox, one on my PlayStation. But what do you guys think about subscription services versus just buying it outright?
I don't like subscription services. I would rather buy most stuff outright. I mean, if it's something that I only want to try for like a month or two, that's one thing. But everything is becoming a subscription these days, and it's getting ridiculous at the stuff that they're trying to turn into subscriptions as well.
Give some examples.
I think it's Tesla that has a bunch of their features locked behind a subscription. So they make the cars exactly the same, but the premium car is unlocked with subscription services, something like that. Or
they're not the only ones.
Others are following suit for sure.
Yeah,
but then you could argue. I'm not saying I do argue this, but you could argue. Well, you, Joe, let's say Tesla was your only choice, right? You were going to get Tesla no matter what. Well, you might go for the. Then you're walking. Shut up. This is a podcast. You can't just say no. It's a yes and kind of show, dude. And that was not the 4-letter word I wanted, but I gave it to you. But you would buy the economy version, whereas I might buy the premium version. And it's similar cars, just without the bells and whistles, as everybody says, right? The difference now is you buy the one car and just not pay for the extra. Is that what is that? And that's the argument that people are making is like, what's the difference?
The mentality of companies just trying to milk you for everything.
That can happen.
It's companies that, like Adobe, for instance. I will never buy Adobe because I'm not going to pay a subscription for that.
I argue against that all day long, but go ahead.
Well, okay, so what's your argument there then?
Photoshop by itself before they did subscriptions was like $400 or $500. Acrobat Writer, same thing. You know, the Acrobat that I can actually edit all the PDFs in, which I need for work now, $300 or $400. Yeah, I'm not quoting exact prices, but when you're like, well, I need Photoshop. Like right now, my job, I need Photoshop. I need Acrobat. I mean, I could find other alternatives, but that's really what works for me. $50 a month. That's easy to do. Or they even have lesser ones. I think like
Okay,
with Acrobat, we
so
pay
even
$200
at
a year or
$300 or
something.
$400 at $50 a month, that's less than a year.
But 50 gets you everything that they offer. Their audio programs, their Lightrooms, their every piece of thing that Adobe does, including all the new AI stuff, is all including that $50 a month. Whereas you're talking about thousands of dollars to buy all of that stuff. And then they come out with a new version. Even in 3 years, they come out with a new version. You're spending hundreds of dollars to upgrade if you need it. It doesn't sound like it would benefit your life. Go ahead, Kurt.
Well, even like real
Sorry,
quick,
Jeff.
even the Movavi that I've mentioned that DevoSite got for me. Movavi, the one I've got, was a pay once, and it's an older version. It's 2023. It's not the 2024, the newest one. Maybe that's the happy medium. If you want the newest stuff, have a subscription for it.
Yeah.
If you want the previous generation, you can buy it outright. Maybe that is a compromise.
And you still can buy the Adobe softwares as a digital download.
Some you can. I don't think you can straight out buy them anymore, because I looked at. It's been a few years since I looked into seeing if they had that option, but
Adobe's
last
the worst
time I checked,
Adobe's the worst of them when it comes to that kind of thing. But so, because I'm kind of with you guys in that I would rather have a physical or even downloaded, but a physical unlocked copy if that's reasonable. and this is the struggle that I have.
Yeah.
Right. I will give you an example. One of the things, and I'll just, because we talked Adobe. Adobe has a creative service that I do subscribe to. It's $10 a month. It gives me access to their creative suite. And it's not everything. It's not the big one, but it gives me access to one of their graphic. I think InDesign is one of them that it gives me access to, as well as their audio product, not Adobe Audition, but their podcasting product. Now, what that gives you is the ability to have AI clean up your audio and remove room noise way better than I can. With the amount of voiceover that I do, It is worth it for me to do that. And I can't download that product. It does not exist. But I upload it, they scan it, they convert it, and I download it back and I get it. And I retain all the rights. Like there's nothing like they don't have permission to use any of that.
Yeah.
So there is that. So for me, that one is worth it. And I'll pay for that all day long because $10 a month, I can make that up in VoiceOver easy. The struggle that I have are things like Microsoft Office, which I do subscribe to through work and on a certain level through home, because I know that is a subscription service for no good reason other than to make Microsoft money, which I know is the point, right? But you can have standalone versions of Office. So why can't I still? And they're making it really difficult for that to happen. The Windows operating system is going to go subscription. It's going.
They're talking it. Yep.
They've been talking it for years. They've been holding off, but it's going to happen.
Well, because they used to, even for the longest time, even for years after Apple made their OS free, Microsoft made you buy Windows 8, then 10, then whatever, 7, all that jazz, and you had to. And then I guess when it went to 10, from 10 to 11, then it became, you can just upgrade if you have a legit license.
There were windows. You could do that from 7 to 10 and from 10 to 11.
Okay, yeah. So, but it took that long for them to go, okay, we'll finally do what Apple's doing. Because Apple's like, we want you in our ecosystem buying our stuff. And that's a difference too between Microsoft and Apple. Microsoft licenses all their stuff out for the most part, and Apple builds all their stuff. Well, anyway, we'll get too deep on this.
And I'll take the hits. I don't give a crap, because the other side of the Mac equation is that you can't do anything in their system without their involvement. So it's ridiculous. So anyhow, But then I look at things like, how do you feel about World of Warcraft? You can't do a standalone on that. That is a subscription model from design because you couldn't do what it does.
How do you feel about Netflix?
Right. Like I bought DVD. Oh my God. I had such a huge DVD collection for years and years and years. Do you know how many movies I buy now? None. I buy
I'll buy
zero
some on
movies.
digital. Just
I
to
won't.
show
I
them
won't.
off whatever.
In fact, digital distribution of those is a place where I actually draw a line because they can deactivate that at any time. You're not buying
Sure.
anything.
But here's why I justify it in my life. One, I don't buy that much, but if I can't, if I'm gonna, like, I wanted to show my son Boondock Saints and Boondock Saints 2.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go dig through the four. We still have 4 of those hundreds. I don't know how many hundreds cases of DVDs that you can take them out of the case, put them in a little slider.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go dig for my DVD. I don't even know if I have a thing that'll play DVDs right now, to be honest with you. And I can either rent the version, I want to watch for $5 and it goes away in 24 hours, or I can buy it for $12 and I'll have it until they go, well, the server's shut down. Either way, I might not find that disc. I might not be able to play that disc. It might scratch. It might break. It has to benefit in your life. There's no such thing as one subscription for all, as shown by between Joe going, I'll use, oh man, what was the one that was Adobe? Hugh, I wish Hugh was here. Oh, Hugh's here. Hugh, what is that stupid audio thing that you used to use to edit your podcast forever until it got sold to Adobe?
Was it Cool Edit?
That's it. Cool Edit.
Yeah.
So Joe's the Cool Edit guy. He'll run Cool Edit until all the computers in the world die and they won't run anymore. And that's fine because you're happy. And that's cool. I don't want to go and spend $60, $70, $80, $100 on a game to try to go, I don't like it. And I mean, like Diablo 4, I loved it. And I ended up getting the, before it became subscription on Xbox Live, I ended up buying it and getting the downloads. And I played a ton of it, which I knew I would. After I tried their free weekend. Once I did that, so I'm hooked. And that's a good thing. But there's so many AAA games I have tried through my Xbox Live Ultimate subscription that I went, after a weekend, I'm like, I don't ever want to play this again. I don't care. And that would have been $70. And we don't have that ability anymore, just to go down to a Blockbuster and let me throw my $5, $10, whatever it was for games down to try this game and demo. So I get it. But I do love my subscription on my Xbox. And yeah, games go away 100%. Movies go away on the stuff, the digital streams. You're right. I did post it here in the chat. You cannot just buy Photoshop. But Joe, what do you use instead of Photoshop?
GIMP.
Yeah.
There you go. And there's a free alternative.
That's exactly where
there.
I was going too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hugh is here. He's going to preach the good word of Linux. Hugh is a Linux prophet for sure. He goes out and testifies for them all the time.
And someday it'll be usable by humans.
But I'll say, well, I asked you earlier, well, how do you fix that? How do you fix every company from going subscription? People have to stop paying for it. And just like you, Joe.
People won't.
Some people won't.
So I heard a statistic. Now, this isn't necessarily subscription per se, but I heard a statistic just today about the number of people who have paid for, in a free-to-play game, paid a microtransaction in the past year. Not just ever, in the past year. And from that survey, 82% of people said that they have done a microtransaction in the past year. And microtransactions and subscriptions, I know they're very, very different, but it's kind of along the same line to me.
It kind of is.
I can justify it.
Okay.
I can justify it. Does it provide me enough value for the money that I'm paying?
That's it.
And so if I drop $20 on extra storage for Pokemon Go while I'm playing Pokemon Go for a long time, it's absolutely worth it. $20 to bring me more enjoyment for 2 hours, 3 hours. What's my enjoyment worth? right?
Well, I can say Joe's has a dollar sign. It's $60. That's what he paid for Movie Pass.
Yeah,
for the year.
Okay, for no, I no, but I
And then I got like 45 of that back.
That's why, honestly, that's why I played World of Warcraft for like 10 years, and people are saying, "How can you spend $15 a month on that subscription?" I'm going, I get way more than $15 worth of enjoyment every month.
Exactly.
Every month.
Yeah.
Like when I was playing Strike Force, I would drop the $15 or $20 whatever that monthly thing in a heartbeat because it was well worth the enjoyment I got out of it.
I had a coworker who would look at stuff that he would buy in game or buying games in general, and he would say, "Okay, how many hours do I have to work to pay for that? Is it worth it?"
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to look at it too. And then look, in the one that everybody compares with are movies, right? How much does it cost you to go see a movie? Let's say it's a bargain matinee type thing. You're still paying $10. And I'm not even we can even discount popcorn, soda.
Yeah, that's
just watch
assuming
a
you're
movie.
going by yourself and just paying for the ticket.
Agree.
Well, in what area of the country? Because in my area, I can get a Tuesday matinee for $5.
Okay, fine. But
man.
still fine. So $5
And that's rare, right?
$5 gets you 2.5 hours.
Yeah. And it's rare and it's very limited.
Yep.
You know, no, I'm with you.
Man,
I pay $40 a month to have 2 passes to AMC, and we try to go at least once a week to a movie. And we almost canceled it. I don't remember if it was last one. I don't know how long we've had it, but as the summer blockbusters ended and we got towards the holidays, we're like, man, let's turn it off. But they were smart. They had a rule say, okay, you can turn it off, but you won't be able to restart it for 6 months. And so we Googled, and it might have been 2 years ago because it would have blocked me from seeing the newest Ant-Man in the timeline. I was like, well, okay. So instead of canceling it, because we definitely want to see the Ant-Man and something else coming out around that time that would have had to pay extra for to go see. Well, let's just see what we can do. And if we're not getting enough out of it per month, because, you know, when you're talking about going to the movies, $40 a month, that's 2 people, 2 movies, you're covered. So, and we can go up to 3 a week. So with our kids, taking our kids, like we'll take one kid to see the Minions and a second kid to see the Minions. So we're getting our value out of it.
And a nice thing about the A-list is you can go to any format. Like you can go 3D or anything.
Oh,
right?
yeah. You can do anything.
Yeah.
Except for the special showings. What's that called?
The
FAMdom events.
the
The
FAMdom
FAMdom
events.
events.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are making me miss. There was a cheap theater in my college town.
Yeah. College theaters are the best.
It was like they would get the movies like a month after they came out, a month, 4 or 6 weeks after they came out, but it was only like $2 matinees. And I was like, nice. That was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. And those days are somewhat gone, you know.
Oh, they
I
are
thought
gone.
$30 to watch Black Widow at home was a little ridiculous, but when I loaded my whole family in to watch Black Widow at home, well, that was less than taking them to the movie theater to see it.
Honestly, Black Widow, the fact that they released it on Disney Plus, I paid the $30 for that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
One, because the podcast allowed me to pause it whenever I wanted to, but also, I wanted to support that. I want to support at-home streaming of newly released movies. I think having to go to the theater, if it's not worth the event of the movie, then why am I bothering?
Exactly. And that's, my theater has a 2 Dolby theaters in it. And that's where I saw Deadpool and Wolverine. And it made a difference when explosions happens. The seats rock somewhat because of how they have the sound set up. And it just was a little bit more immersive than a regular screen. But they put the effort in to the movie to make it a theater experience versus one of the screening scenes was Fly Me to the Moon. It's not worth it in the theater at all.
Yeah.
So it does come down because Joe, you work for a subscription company, buddy. Technically speaking, I mean, it comes down to, are you getting the value out of it? I think that's really it. Now I heard
for insurance, you're not getting the value out of it.
That's true. But people have posited the question is the word I'm looking for. If we're gonna do subscriptions to cars, what is it? there's seat heaters, but if you don't pay your subscription, the seat heater doesn't work, or where's it going to stop? There will find a balance. We've seen things come and go. Our phone systems, who pays phone companies hardly anymore, right? There are people who do that, but we all carry cell phones over. That's a subscription service to be able to talk to people. We pay for our cell phones, but we get our value out of it. So I don't think we should knee jerk and say no to subscriptions, but I mean, I would pay $20 a month to get food because I don't know, because I'm having to pay a whole lot more now to go to the grocery store.
Well, and part of the reason why a lot of people, well, I'm going to go with software specifically, is going towards subscription services is because they're constantly updating it. Most of it's bugs, but every now and again it's new features. But they couldn't do that in the past.
Right.
There was no update,
Right.
fix it in post type of thing with software. And so
even if there was, it was really hard. It was really hard to do.
Yeah, from that stance, I kind of understand it. That doesn't mean I have to accept it, but I can kind of understand it.
Yep.
Yeah. And when I don't want to get to this because I want to get to the next thing here, but I just want to throw out my line will be when it's hardware driven. Like I have Orbi, which is a Netgear mesh system. And if I had to pay a subscription service to have that operate in my house, I definitely have a problem now with that because no, I needed the hardware to work and I need you to do firmware updates because the world keeps moving forward. But that's why I paid $300 or whatever for it.
iPhone had that subscription service for a while, that iPhone Forever.
Where I was through AT&T, I think it was. Yeah.
Sprint offered it too. I don't know if
a lot of people offer it now, but yeah.
We can get into the hardware end of things, but that's that ended up being a longer discussion.
Yeah, we still have one more thing to talk about tonight.
So, Joe, I don't know why you picked this one after we're talking about Deadpool and subscriptions. So, Joe, I mean, look, Kurt, you know Joe almost as well as I do. You know that he's clean cut, but man, there's this dark side to Joe. So I'm actually worried about asking this question, but here you go. Daddy, tell me a story. Joe, what's the worst thing you've done at your company?
Oh man. So I had been with the company for maybe less than a year. We'll go with that. Less than a year.
The company that he's talking about isn't currently his company. It's a mythical company that he may or may not have worked at in actuality.
Dark industry.
Plenty of people know what I did, and I still get poked fun at. And so I'm working on a bit of code, and I have to update it in our code repository. And I'm using a software for a repository that I had never used before. It's called ClearCase ClearQuest. Our company doesn't use it anymore. And so I was told to consult with one of the people who had been there for a long time about pushing my code to ClearCase ClearQuest. And so...
Hey, that 5 times real fast.
And so he... so I put my code in there where I was told to put it. And he told me that my code should be the only thing in there to get pushed forward. And I'm like, what about all this other stuff that's here? He's like, no, delete it. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. So I waited a day and I went back to him again. I'm like, are you sure about all this stuff that's here isn't supposed to be here? And I even had him come over to my desk and look. He's like, no, it's not supposed to be there. Delete it. I'm like, okay.
You never delete anything.
I deleted it. And for some reason, this specific section of the repository was a mixed section. It wasn't just our code. It was multiple departments code. And
was there an undo button? Was there an undo button? Tell me.
I deleted the source code for an entire team's repository.
Wow.
And they did not have most of that backed up to another location because that was supposed to be the repository. So I don't know how much the company ended up paying to have one of those services where they come and try to reclaim deleted data. But I'm sure they paid a lot to have them try to reclaim that deleted data because I had deleted all of their source code.
That's how COVID happened.
and so yeah, the person who it impacted the most, he was the team lead, or at least the one that I talked to the most. Every now and again, he still pokes fun. Like I'll be in a meeting and he knows I'm there, and they'll be like, someone will talk about how they messed up, and he'll just be like, at least you didn't delete someone's code repository.
Wow.
and so yeah, he in the almost 11 years since that happened, he's brought it up several dozen times in different meetings. Usually he doesn't call me out specifically as the one that does it, but obviously it's geared towards me. No, he laughs about it actually, but
yeah, but I like people. I call them by the stuff they've done in their past. Like I have 2 people under my employ now that when they were teenagers, they essentially got arrested for terroristic acts. So I call them terrorists. Yeah, like, hey, terrorist. I'm like, that's so funny. He's like, yeah, it is. You're laughing. It's funny.
So yeah, I have learned basically don't delete stuff.
What? So how many years ago was it?
This would have been in 2013, so 11 years ago.
Was the 3-2-1 principle not out then? 3 backups, 2 offsite, 1 hard copy, or a hard drive?
I'm sure it was. That doesn't mean our company did anything close to it.
That's crazy.
So even now, we don't
you just
really
gave Kurt a few more gray hairs with that one.
Even now, we don't really have multiple copies of our source code. Although the software that we're using now, like we don't save it, but the software that we have does save each iteration, a snapshot of each iteration when you update it. So you can revert back to.
Where?
The software that we're using now is called
in
RTC.
the Adobe Cloud.
It's all in that one service, though. It's not in multiple locations.
So if that service is like CloudStrike and has a problem, it could really mess you up for a little while.
Yes, it could.
Wow.
You basically have to hope that some people have a local copy that they're working on saved off.
There are services now that will back up SaaS services. Software as a service, which is basically this cloud repository. It'll back things like that up to another separate place so that you can recover.
Now, I should say that's just our code repository. Our servers, our data, everything else has multiple backups because
you'll have to have an Iron Mountain account.
We are legally obligated that if there is an issue, because it's an insurance company and we also handle Medicare because we have that contract, that we're only allowed to lose, I think it's like 12 hours of data in the event of a disaster or something like that. So,
which is honestly a little bit unreasonable, but still.
Well, then you have to retain for like 7 years or something like that. I mean,
if it's only 7 years, you're lucky. We've got stuff that we have. I think the highest I've seen is 13 years, and that's assuming that it's not being subpoenaed because we've got some data that we can't delete because of ongoing litigation that has been ongoing since before I started at the company.
Well, that's different. Like if it's ongoing, fine. But I think the HIPAA rule of thumb was 7 years.
Yeah, but we've got other stuff even outside of the litigation that we have set to keep for 13 years.
Yeah.
Cause with the win. You guys are creeping me out by saying repositories so much. Is that why you're talking about colonoscopies?
It wasn't suppository. And on that note, that's the show.
Well, let me tell you. Tonight's show is brought to you by
suppositories.
And suppositories, and it's a Scotch suppository, and the letter R, which is Old Overholt Rye 114. It's all right. Not gonna be one of my favorites, but I've enjoyed it. I've been sipping on that tonight. And quick little shout out before we hit this beautiful ending by Kurt, which would be, look, August 7th is very important to me. It is on DC Digital Media on twitch.tv. We are doing, and on YouTube for DC Digital Media Track and Facebook. We're doing my 20th anniversary of being a digital media pro creator. And the two guys who literally did the show, Two Guys, One Brain, are coming on. They gave me my start. They're going to talk about, well, I went by Big C a little bit back then. So we're going to talk about this young, brash Big C. They've already asked me, what's your policy on cursing? I was like, no, it's the history, baby. Everything flies. Just be you. So there's going to be some never heard stories. It's going to be crazy. And Phil Keating is hosting it to ask them the questions and drive me crazy. So please come out August 7th and join me for that. Kurt, you look like you got something to say.
Big C. Really?
Follow these nerdy dads on social media. Charles at Rock God of Podcasting. Joe at Joseph_Ard. Check out the website, wiseandnerdy.com. And as always, they may not be your father, but they'll always be your daddy.
And VO by Kurt everywhere. Shut up, Mike. Be ashamed of yourself.
The hand motion. Oh no. Oh.
I don't have a fart sound on